From self-doubt to self-confidence, a 3-year journey. Hello, everyone. It's your favorite person, Amy Colombo. I'm an emotional mastery coach. I'm a single mother to 3 boys, and I'm here today interviewing a client, a very special client, D'Layne. Her transformation over the past 3 years that I've had the privilege and the honor to guide and witness has been profound. So profound that this is really a message of hope. This is not fake transformation. This is not like, oh, everything is always great. It's actually kind of the opposite. Life is messy, and entrepreneurship and being a stepmother and figuring out your niche and overcoming your biggest money obstacles. And as I like to say, getting mom and dad out of the business because we are bringing in those parental wounds, those childhood wounds, and all of our beliefs that we have created over the years from everything in our past, we bring that into our business, into our relationships. And the closest ones, those parenting relationships, your romantic relationships, and even with your clients. So, this is a real look at what transformation and healing really is. And that by staying committed to yourself, not giving up, even and especially when it's really hard, you will come to a place where you will be so surprised. And it's not going to look, feel, or happen like you expect. It's going to be totally, totally different. So, with that, just go ahead, drop your comments. I will be checking, drop your questions. We are here for you, and just drop a hello. And with that, I'm going to introduce D'Layne. So, D'Layne, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? D'Layne is a board certified nurse coach. She is a certified breathwork facilitator, and she's been at this healing, transformative game for a while. So, D'Layne, just introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, and let us know how you came to start your own business in the healing space as a coach.
Thanks, Amy. Yes, I am a nurse coach, and my specialty is helping women who are over functioning to break free from the overwhelm of trying to be everything to everyone. And as you will hear, that is my story. And it's been a lifetime theme, but the thing that really brought about my breakthrough, my breaking point was in 2020. Of course, we have the pandemic, and at the time I was working as a nurse in the hospital. I was also caregiving for my husband who had had traumatic brain injuries, and my stepson's school had closed. So I was trying to take care of him, get him all of his homeschooling lessons. My father got diagnosed with 2 types of cancer at the same time. And then on top of all of it, I didn't know it at the time, but I had started perimenopause too. And so it was just layer upon layer upon layer of stressors, challenges, everything. And I had been the rock for everyone for my whole entire life, the person they could depend on, the person who was going to drop everything to help them. And I couldn't do that anymore. And I was pushing deep into burnout, depression, anxiety, all of that. And I needed to do something to break out of it. And so that started this journey. And as I started to put pieces together, I learned that I really wanted to help other people do the same thing. And so that's been my passion and my mission. And it has been multi-layered, challenging, and also the best thing I've ever done too.
Hmm. Yeah. Let's start at the beginning. That is beautiful. So, you decide to become a coach and start your own business after the pandemic. And when we met, Celine, just share a little bit about where you were that first year in business when you came to coach with me, because you were being held in a business container. And then we met, I came in, um, and I know that you felt something. There was something there that you really needed. So just kind of share a little bit about what was really pressing for you in that first year of business.
Absolutely. So I think that the most pressing thing of all of it was my money issues more than anything. And I was I actually was doing really well financially when I started out at the beginning of the coaching journey. And I really would get so in my head about the money and about saying it out loud when I was trying to talk to a client, or even having overextending myself, having guilt about my price, and so then I'm giving extra, extra, extra. So again, even though I'm coaching people on overfunctioning, I'm starting to go into those patterns because of my guilt and shame about the money that I'm charging, because of just all the patterns that I had within. And so it was like I was recreating the monster just in a completely different way. And what really stuck out with me was when you came to our business container and you had a session with us, it was so much deeper work than I had done prior to that. And it was really about diving into your belief system, diving into all of the patterns that made you the way you are. And though I had been to therapy before, though I had done different things, nothing felt like it was to that depth. And that's when I really knew that I wanted to work with you, because I wanted to crack open these deeper layers, because I knew how deeply ingrained they are. And so even like you just briefly mentioned, I had things with my both with my money issues, and then with my parents and their perception of my business and their money issues as well. Because of course I learned everything from them. All the money issues came from them. And then not only was I carrying those beliefs with me and they were manifesting in my business, but also it was again guilt and shame about from my parents about, I can't believe you're charging people that much. I can't believe that you do this. You should be doing more things for free. You should be doing more. And it was all of that just really started to weigh heavily on me. And so I was so happy when I met you, because I was just like, this is it. I want to move out of these patterns and habits. And this feels like the person to guide me there.
Hmm. Yeah, amazing. So you touched on so many important points, but the pathway to changing your future is by taking a look at your present. And your present, who you are in the here and now, is a culmination of everything that happened before this moment, like before
Right.
today. So my container literally is all about going back there to find out the roots and origins of where these beliefs stemmed from. Because when we get really present and grounded and safe, and we're able to look at it from that perspective, that's the key to transforming it. Because it would be great if we just decided, hey, I'm going to have it all and I'm going to charge thousands of dollars. And if there's a really sneaky belief in there, like, right, I grew up and right, there was, as I said, I saw the wound as a mother wound that said, rich people bad, poor people good, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of us can
Hmm.
identify with that. I know that that's a big thing, even in the Catholic upbringing. So yeah, it's really important to go back there, not to stay there, but I look at it as like a slingshot, right? We're
Right.
taking you back and it's propelling you forward. And it's not like this straight linear line like we would love for it to be, but it's totally worth the journey. So with that, D'Layne, money being a huge transformation for you, can you share how your relationship to money shifted, especially in the breakthrough where you stopped carrying your clients' stories and, as I saw, realized, oh, mom's in my business, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that one of the most profound changes that I noticed, and this was in every single aspect of my life, was that I started to notice the abundance that is true in my life, the abundance that I already have, what is already there, and cultivating a sense of trust within me that I'm on track, that everything that's supposed to happen is happening the way it is meant to. And as I did that, money just found me. And that was the really interesting thing in all of it is I remember a few times telling you, like we'd be in conversation and I'd say, I don't know how, Amy, but every month, like everything works out. Like this happened, this happened, this, and financially, I didn't think it was going to work out. And then at the end of the month, it did. And that's what I kept experiencing is that when I stayed in that trust, when I stayed out of the scarcity and the urgency and all of the things that come up when you're struggling with money issues, if I stayed out of those and I stayed grounded and centered and trusting that whatever's meant to happen will happen, and really letting out or getting rid of that graspy energy that I had for so long, that's when the biggest breakthroughs happened. And then that how it translated into my business too was sales calls, for example. Like that was something that stressed me out to no end. I would get so wound up, and then during the sales call, it was just almost blinding anxiety, and even the guilt and shame might even come up as well. And I was able to, over time, shift into, as I was in that trust and in that this person is either meant for me or they're not meant for me, but it has nothing to do with me. And just kind of showing them the vision of what they could have, and staying connected to that vision as opposed to my money scarcity. That was where things started to really shift for me. And it all became about, like, I mean, this is what's so funny to learn through all this process is that in the sales calls, you're making it about you. You're making it be all of your issues and you're bringing them all into the call. And what it's all about is the client and helping them to, you just want to give them value because that's what we do as coaches. We give value. So give them value, but then make it all about them and help them see what's possible. Help them feel that within them, feel that energy of like, oh my gosh, like I could actually have this. I could do this. And that changed everything for this business side of things as well. And I think the final thing it gave me in my business was more clarity instead of saying yes to all the things I didn't want to do, because that has been my theme for my business, I think, to give me all the lessons that I needed. All the things I didn't like seemed to be the things that brought in the most money in the beginning. And so I just kept doing things that I didn't want to do because I was like, well, but I can make money with this. I don't like it, but that seems to be doing really well, so I'm just going to keep doing it. And so again, when I separated from the scarcity, I got this space and this clarity to go, you know what? I can say no to things I don't like. And as I started to do that more and more, then I've started to shift into, oh my gosh, now this thing that I actually love is bringing in the most money. That's incredible. Like, let's have more of this. Let's keep that going. And so, yeah, all of that has just been so helpful for me. It's been amazing.
Mm. Yeah, so many things you touched on, but I want to just say, as nurses, we pretty much, I can stereotype, we pretty much universally have these strengths of compassion and empathy where people feel so safe in our presence.
Right.
We're right. It's what makes us amazing coaches. And we totally lose that in a sales call, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
We want them to choose. And what we need to do is we need to create that safety for them to buy, which
Right.
means we have to have confidence. But there is something that happens when you're in a sales call. It really is a thing to get yourself out of yourself and out of your mindset and out of your scarcity and limiting thoughts of like, well, what can you, because your mind goes to all the things you can't do for them
Right.
immediately. And
Hmm.
it's a whole job of bringing that safety in because that's what they really need. They really need us to be confident in our offers so that they can feel safe to trust us and buy. So that's just like a huge thing for all of us as coaches. And you mentioned the journey of developing that trust. And trust is really like a word that you said several times in there. So what really what really are the tools for you? What has been the thing that you've been consistent with over and over again when you look back that really brings you to that place of trust over and over and over again, right? Because the journey involves losing it. We don't just stay in trust, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, what's the thing that helps you maintain it, be consistent with it, grow it, and get back there?
Yeah. There's a few different things that I use, and some of them, honestly, I did before I met you, but I didn't do them to the depth that I can now. So one example of that is the emotional freedom technique, the tapping. When I met you, I did tapping. I had already kind of explored that. But with you, it was such a deeper level of learning how to use that to soothe myself internally and to help kind of look at all the blessings and all the abundance, like coming back to that theme, coming back to all these good things that I've gotten when I'm trusting, when I'm grounded, when I'm myself. And so tapping was one thing that kind of would bring me back to center when I'd start to feel the spiraling and feel like ooh, I don't know, start second guessing myself. It kind of helped bring me back to center. And then the thing that I discovered through my own practice and just what helps me on a deeper level is breath work as well. And that was something that I'd never experienced before. And what I like to refer to as transformative journey breath work, it helps me connect so deeply to basically to everything, to other people, to feeling a sense of oneness, like I'm not alone. It helps me connect to the feelings of love, of joy. I get all of these deep, wonderful human emotions and feelings and sensations through breath work. And so when I feel like I can't get there on my own, or I'm overthinking, or I'm just in my head too much, breath work is a great way to come back to my body too, and start to feel those things. And then for me, it's been a way to get a lot of insights as well. I feel like my experience has often been that I get a third person perspective on my life or on an issue and something like that. And it's like all of a sudden, as we've talked about, all these beliefs and these things that are weighing me down all get released just for a little temporary window. And I get to see the truth that lies underneath all of it. And then that truth is how I can start to move out of it, move forward, or whatever I need. And yeah, the whole full circle moment of all of it is my connection to spirit, to universe, to God, to whatever it is that I'm kind of calling to in the moment, but also feeling that as well. Those things are kind of all collectively coming together in the breathwork moment, and then yeah, I can just show up in a completely different way after that.
Mm, that is so good.
Yeah.
The two words that stand out from that is like connection and getting grounded in the present moment. When you think about what breath work and EFT do, is they bring us out of here and into our body in the present moment, and everything that we want is there.
Right.
So I could even say, and maybe even I'll ask, because I think some people think business, do we really need to go that deep in business? Is it really that deep? Like, do I, right? Like,
Yes.
do I really need these deeper tools in business? I'm just curious, like, what would you say to that?
Oh, that's such a good question and so relevant to me. I mean, I think I'd been in therapy for 10 years when I started my coaching journey. And I had been deeply studying nervous system regulation for years with my husband because it was really helpful for his brain injuries and his PTSD. And so, oh, as naive as it sounds now, I felt like I had a rock solid understanding of my psyche, of my psychology. I knew nervous system regulation. I knew all of that. And so I remember listening. There was one podcast that some nurse coaches do that I was listening to it, and they were talking about, oh, the work you have to do, all the work you're going to have to do. You have no idea. You can't take your clients there until you've been there, and all of this. And I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Like, I've done so much work. I'm not going to have to deal with this. I'm so ready for this job. And that was not true at all. And slapped me in the face, to be quite honest, because yeah, I felt like I was ready to go. And what I had realized is that no, I had been living so superficially for my entire life. And even my nervous system regulation understanding wasn't really that accurate because I simply saw it as, well, I know how to calm myself in the moment. I didn't know how to process any emotions. I didn't even know how to feel emotions. I didn't know what to do to stay resilient with things. It was simply my answer to everything was, it feels like it's getting crazy. I better calm myself. And
Mm,
there's so much more to that. And And that's why, and I think the word keeps coming up over and over again when I talk about working with you is deeper. Everything is deeper. And it's understanding the belief system, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, everything that is actually making you show up the way you are. When you get that deeper understanding of it, you understand all the whys, and then that's when you can choose how you actually want to be, which is a profound thing for me to discover that you choose every single day who you are being, how you are showing up for yourself and your relationships and everything. And I have been such a reactive person all my life. I showed up as the panicked fixer and everything. And so to learn that actually that's not how I have to respond at all. And it's much more powerful. It's much more helpful in all of my relationships that I show up as my best self. And then I have the peace and the patience within to give them their space. Because that's, one of the themes of us working together is I learned how much I was over functioning, how much I was trying to control every single aspect of my life. And I was hurting every single relationship because of it. People were not getting the growth that they needed around me because I was trying to do it all for them. So not only did this whole journey help me so much and to move out of my phases of constant burnout, constant overwhelm, always anxiety and trying to anticipate the next thing that's coming. I moved out of that, sure, but also my husband grew so much when I was finally able to take a step back and let him do his own healing and let him trust himself. And the same with my stepson. When I stopped trying to manage every single detail of his life and helicopter parent him, and I gave him space, that's when, oh my gosh, he dramatically changed in every way and was showing up as like this amazing human that I honestly don't know that he would have done that if I hadn't gone into this, learned this, and started to show up differently for him. I think I would have micromanaged him into less strong, less resilient, less everything because I was holding him back.
Mm. Ugh, so much good stuff. Again, this word trust keeps coming in. And I just think of the journey to healing the world, to helping the world, to loving others is a journey of self-love, right? So if we
Right,
want to trust others, it's a journey of self-trust. And when we
right,
build that self-trust, then we can trust that our clients don't need us to micromanage them. We can trust that our children, right, can make their own decisions and even their own mistakes and handle the consequences. We can start trusting. And isn't it amazing, D'Layne, that when you give someone that trust, you see them rise up to it. It's like
right,
it's amazing to see people rise when you rise, to see the external validation of your outer world, your outer relationships, you know, kind of reflect that inner transformation. And that's everything that you're speaking to. It's even giving me chills right now. Um, so let's talk about life beyond business. How
yeah,
has this work changed your relationships, your marriage, right? You're a stepmom to your stepson, and just the way you let people be them, but also support you.
right. I think that the the biggest point of all of it is that I I'm no longer giving past my capacity. And that, as simple as it sounds, is profound for me because I all I've done my entire life is try to earn my self-worth by being perfect, by giving as much as I possibly can, and by overachieving over and over and over again. And now the phase that I'm in my life is pushing all of those things away that I feel my self-worth within. And so I don't need to prove it to anyone. And that translates into all of my relationships as, I mean, it's so cheesy and they say it all the time. And now it's true. It turns out it's true. But the whole you're on an airplane and you're supposed to put on your oxygen mask before you help the other people. That's literally it. I could not give and be present for and love the people in my life the way that I wanted to because I was so fixated on the overgiving and overdoing for them. And now that I've pulled back and I look out for myself first, just to make sure that everything's okay in here before I go and be in relationship with people, now that I do that, I am so much more present. I am such a better listener. Like my here's an example that my husband said is he felt like it used to be that he was on a timer, that I would show up and he felt like he was going to get maybe 5, max 10 minutes of my undivided attention. And then I was immediately going to be immersed in something else, or I've got to go, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And so he felt like there was no true connection with us anymore because I was so task oriented, so hyper vigilant on every single thing that I had to do, that I had to anticipate, that I wasn't really deeply connecting with him. And yeah, that, oh my gosh, we've had such a different way that we show up for each other now because when I started being present with him and showing him how much I actually care and deeply connecting with him and hearing him and seeing him, all of that, then that translated into him doing the same for me. And so me feeling like I've always had this streak of hyper independence and I can handle it. I can do it all myself. But as I've done all this work, I see, no, I need support. And I started with, working with you, working with a business coach, like doing all these different things, but I didn't have support in my day-to-day real life. And so, this work helped me be able to say, I do need help. I do need support, be able to ask for it when I need it, which, holy cow, that's a new thing. And then, yes, in the deeper level of that, I'm showing up for my husband. I'm connected to him. We have a better relationship. Now he's able to support me. Now he's able even to see struggles that he didn't see before because I was hiding them. I was trying to show how self-sufficient I was. And yeah, he had the capacity to help me back, but I just wasn't accepting it and he couldn't see it. So now we've moved through all of that as well. And that really, it translates to all my relationships essentially, is just a lot more I receive from other people and then I give from a much better place.
Hmm, beautiful. I am curious, how is this new level of confidence and trust showing up in your coaching container? What are the nuance shifts that you're seeing in your clients?
Yeah. I think that I think that deep-seated confidence helps me to, it's almost like I'm better able to show them how much I believe in them. Like with my confidence in my own skill set and everything else, they're feeling like this, again, trust, deeper trust in me. And then that translates into deeper trust in themselves too. Because I think that your voice, I think that how you're standing up, everything that you're doing is conveying something to your clients. And the more that you're in that, ooh, I don't know if this is working. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. The more you have that energy, even if you're someone like me, I was skilled at not showing it necessarily on the outside. My nervous system was wrecked on the inside, but I could show up like a boss on the outside, but they can still hear that. They can still sense those things because there's this underlying energy and this underlying anxiety that was just raging through me all the time. And now to be able to get on a coaching call and feel regulated and feel like in that joyful, loving spot where I'm just radiating good energy out to them, it makes a profound difference on them to get to feel safer quickly, to trust me more deeply, to trust themselves, and all of that plays into a much more effective container for them.
Hmm. That resonated. I got chills again when you were talking because it resonated so strongly with me. I recently had my own little breakthrough in my own exact same, where it just all of a sudden it was like shining a light on. This is not about me. This is about them, and
Right.
they need me to hold that space. And I'm starting, like, what I'm starting to see is the more confident I become, now the script for me is I want to see these women surpass me. I have never been able to say that. That's vulnerable for me. Like the thought of right? Like I need to be here and I need to coach them that are like right on the journey before me. But now it's like, no, I'm so right. That confidence grows, and you're like, I want to coach people that make more money than me. I want them to surpass me in emotional mastery. Like I want them. I want to say that I'm the coach. So that's kind of about me. But when I show up in that way, I'm not afraid, right? I'm not
Hmm.
afraid. And like they can feel that. Like you said, they can feel your belief in them. So your belief in yourself builds your belief in your clients and everyone around you. It is just, again, it's like the journey out there is literally through here. It's through your heart and your soul.
Right.
And um, so I have a couple of questions for you here. But if the woman you were in 2023 could sit down with you today, what do you think would shock her the most about who you've become?
Whew. I think that, and you hinted on this earlier, that everything is so much different than I anticipated it would be. I had a very clear vision of what I wanted for my business and who I wanted to be and how I was going to get there. And it has been virtually none of that happening in the way that I thought it would. And the other thing that I think also ties into all of this is that I went to, like, it was really, I can't remember if I had just met you or if I had just started working with you, but I went to a business conference. And I remember I was such a wreck at that conference that I was shaking when I went in, and because I knew there'd be a lot of networking, and I'm more of an introvert, and I was just like, but I'm going because I'm going to try to learn something, and just kind of forcing myself into doing this. And I remember that whole time, like just wondering, am I cut out for this? Can I do this? All the shaking, all the nervousness. And then they had like a little force time where they forced you into networking partners and all of this. And I was an absolute wreck.
Mm.
And where I've kind of had a full circle moment is I've done a lot of networking recently. And yeah, how I show up in that realm, even with my confidence and with my everything, it's like magnetic, like where I had to beg and plead the person that I was networking with at that event, like, can I please do something at your yoga studio? And it was just like we talked about, this scarcity, this, I really need this. I need this. I need this. And now I come into everything. But yeah, just recently it's been a lot of networking and a lot of collaborations. I come in with this confidence and I honestly don't care whether it happens or not. Like I'm just showing up in the way of like, here's my idea. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, that's great. And now, without the effort, I'm so much more magnetic, and all these people say yes, and then they have ideas, and that's incredible. Like the shift to know that I came from that in 2023, and I have a very distinct memory of it. To now walking into any room and legitimately feeling very comfortable. And I mean, I've even been in like conferences where like everybody around me was six figures, seven figures. I mean, like that kind of stuff. And I felt comfortable. I wasn't all up in my head. I was really being present and trying to learn from them, observe their energy, observe how they reacted with other people, how they networked. And none of that could have happened without all of this work. And and yeah, it, like I said, it's crazy. It makes you magnetic and it makes people super interested in you. And I still don't fully understand all of that. Like it's interesting, it's awesome, but I'm definitely riding the wave. But yeah, it's incredible how far that how far I've come, how much my life has changed, and how differently I interpret everything.
Yeah, amazing. The word that comes into my mind right now is non-judgment because whether we're judging people above us or people below us, right? We're judging. So
Right.
to walk in a room of, people on the spectrum and to feel confident and like you belong, that's some real deep shit right there. So
Right. Yeah.
that's some real deep work. And I'm just curious, what are maybe like three core attributes that like feed that confidence?
Hmm. I think that, again, coming back to the trust, I think that I really, and I say it all the time to myself, it's a mantra that the universe is always conspiring in my favor. And I, of course, like we all have moments where I'm like, I don't really know if that's true. But the more that I do this work and that I stay really reflective and I journal and I focus on what happens, oh my gosh, it is true. Like even the horrible, horrible things that happen to you, there's always a lesson. There's always something like it's this turning point in the journey. And yeah, I now trust that whatever it is, good, bad, ugly, like it's all for my overall spiritual growth. And so that's not even just, talking about this life or this business or whatever, but just for my being, I trust that everything is conspiring in my favor. And
Mhm.
so yeah, that's been really powerful for me. I think that love is such a key value for me, like a core value. And so by feeling, acknowledging, and trying to just live in love, I think that's another attribute that helps me kind of stay in this place. And yeah, almost like we talked about with the sales calls and things like that. The times that I'm in my humanness and I'm in my anxiety and scarcity and urgency and worry and all of that, it's because I'm not in love. And the more that I stay in that state of love, the more I show up better for other people. I show up better for myself. Um, it's essential to my being to always stay in that love capacity. And the little sub lesson with love is I always thought that I had to earn love. And now I just see myself as more like a conduit of love. It's like I'm taking in and receiving love all the time from other people, from the universe, from whatever, but also I'm giving it out. So it's just this constant, never ending supply of love is running through me. So that is really, really helpful and powerful. And then I think, trying to think of what would be the strongest one for my third. Um, I'm not sure. I don't, because again, like it comes into, you know what? I guess it would be empowerment of, as I referenced earlier, knowing how much of life I'm actually in control of. Like there are tons of things that we have no control over whatsoever, but everything is in our reaction to them and in our choices that we make of how to show up, our choices of how to be, how to interact with people, everything. And so I think that it's just generally speaking, I know how empowered I actually am now. And I'm not living life in this reactive, everything's happening to me, fall into these holes and traps and everything else. Instead, I just know that no, you know what? Like I get to control how I respond to this. I get to control my boundaries with other people. I get to control all of these things. And that is so grounding and makes me feel like I'm actually the one that's kind of running the show here, even though things might be completely crazy around me.
Yeah. So trust, love, and empowerment. And it definitely shines through you 100%. I am just curious, how important would you say self-compassion is on a healing journey, an entrepreneurial journey, on a life journey, right? Especially for these hyper independent, over-functioning women, which I know everyone in this group can relate to on one level or another. Just how
Yeah,
important would you say is self-compassion?
it is insanely important, wildly important. And that was another, I know that when we talked to in the last session I had with you just recently, that is such a key thing that I've learned that I now pull in because I mean, right now we're talking about my situation in 2020, right? Like in that moment, it was like every single aspect of my life was really struggling. I had challenges. There was nothing easy in that moment. But when I think about that time, all I saw, and I mean, this is it, I just saw what a failure I was. I was
Mm.
failing every single one of my relationships. I was failing at work. I was failing at this. It was all of this guilt and shame. What? I was going through an insane, challenging, wild time of life, complete chaos in every single aspect. And instead of having an ounce of compassion for myself, I just judged myself. And so that has been a profound shift through all of this is I've been able to step away from the judgment and look at all of these incredible things that I've done, how I'm a survivor. I still was giving even in all of these really chaotic situations. It's like now I have so much compassion for myself and so much love for myself because I see like even though it was misguided, I was being driven by my heart and I was being driven by just trying to be a good person, trying to love others, all of these things that are good qualities, but yeah, I just it was being run by the judgment and the guilt and the shame as opposed to coming from that place of love and coming from a grounded state. And so yeah, I think it's everything. I think that learning to love yourself, have compassion for yourself enables you to move into being able to slow down, being able to judge what's good for you and bad for you. I can't tell you, and I know I'm sure you've experienced this too, how many clients come to me and they literally can't tell me this brings me joy, this brings me energy. Like they can't even say a lot of their wants and needs and desires in the beginning because they are so adapted and wired for everyone else's needs and wants and desires that they can't even feel it in themselves. They have no idea. And so it takes like just getting more grounded and getting more centered to even get to the point that they can even have an idea of what they want and need. And so, yeah, all of that is, again, coming back to that self compassion piece, like love yourself and then be able to give yourself the things that you need because then you show up so much better for everybody else.
Mm. So good. So much gold in there. Oh, okay. What are, what is one moment from the last 3 years when you realized I'm just not the same person that I was, right? And I just want to preface by saying you're not and you are. So it's
Right.
so interesting to see that you're not a different person. You're the same D'Layne you always were, minus, right? What you just said, being run by the fear, the self-doubt. It's these other values have really come to the forefront. So it's like when I look at you, personally, your transformation is one of the strongest and over a time that I've gotten to witness, which is why I wanted you in here. But yeah, I'm just curious if you had a moment that you even remember where you were like, I'm different.
Honestly, there's so many of them. And I get that compliment all the time from people. It would, like I can think of one of the people who really helped me start to move into wanting to have my own business and wanting to do something different. She was a nurse with me. Like I was a PACU nurse, and I had a fellow nurse friend that she was also PACU, but she decided she wanted to be a therapist, and so she like went and got her master's degree and started all the work on that. And we talked about so many things, and she was actually the one that discouraged me from going into therapy and look into coaching just because, and this was more of a practical advice kind of thing she was giving me, but she was saying, you know what, you're going to take forever to get through the schooling, to get through this, to get through that, to become an actual therapist. And I didn't realize how rigorous like all of that was, the whole process was. But she was like, you live with someone who has PTSD, traumatic brain injuries. You've studied and been just completely devoted to his care. You're essentially a nurse for him, and you have been for years. She was like, you're ahead of the ball game on all of this. So I want you to really kind of stick to trying to figure out if you can do it as a nurse coach. And so, like, by moving into all of that and taking that pathway, we sort of had alternate timelines, and I would rate us as exactly the same person almost. Like we both have like these same tendencies. We see life very similarly. And but then if you look at our trajectories, like because of all the work that I did and taking that coaching route, it's been a wildly different trajectory. And she's been the one who's been so observant of that. Like she's like, I think I've increased my confidence. I think that I, have changed things to be able to, because now she has her own business, her own therapy business. But she was like, but I look at you, and she was like, in every single respect of your life, you are a completely different person than you were before. And like she said, even when she watches me walk into a room, she was like, you walk into the room and there's an energy about you. And there's just something that happens when you walk into the room and people feel it and people see it. And she's like, I still don't even understand what all has happened to you. But it's very dramatic. And she's like, and I want to incorporate more of the things that I see in you. I want to learn more about it. I want to see more of this because I want more of it as well. And and so yeah, for someone who gets me and sees me and has so many similarities to me, like for them to say that has been that felt really powerful in that moment of yeah, it has been. It's been a lot. It's been dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, your confident authority energy when you were talking about walking into the networking room, I remember you talking about that in
Yeah.
our container and then it switching. So it's really been a profound transformation. And my last question before we sum it up, D'Layne, is just if you had three pieces of advice to offer the high functioning, over functioning, hyper independent, task oriented woman, because I know that is your niche. If you had three things to tell her from your own journey, from your own experience, what would that be?
Well, we'll start with kind of rehashing one of them and the compassion for yourself. I think that I think that having compassion for yourself, if you don't, you're not going to grow. You're not going to move forward because you're still going to be so deep in judgment that you can't accurately see yourself. And so, yeah, open your heart to yourself. Talk to yourself like you would a friend that you love. And I love that reframe of getting into a moment and I'm going to give myself advice right now, but I'm going to give myself advice like I would my best friend, not like I'm
Hmm,
talking to myself in the nasty way that I do. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so yeah, start that compassion piece, start talking nicely to yourself. Start trying to be rational when you look at your life and everything that you're going through and it will help you move forward. And then I think another part is looking at your patterns and trying to it's hard in the beginning because I think a lot of these women also have a lot of defensiveness about things. And so but you have to be honest with yourself and start to look for which of these things do I trend towards. Like the some of the big ones are the overachieving, perfectionism, people pleasing, hyper independence. A lot of those like do I do that? And just try to be real with yourself. You can journal about it, you can kind of meditate on it, but starting to look for what's the pattern and then what are the beliefs beneath that and starting to explore that and get curious about it. And then the piece number 3 is starting to reevaluate, rewrite that belief system. What do you actually believe and what was passed down to you by someone else or some event that happened to you? And just start to rewrite it. Like I know that one thing that we did a lot of work on was rewiring it through tapping, like doing the tapping exercises and being able to rewire. This is not what I believe. This is actually what I believe. And really kind of bringing it into my body to embody that belief. And yeah, I think all of that is wildly helpful. Compassion, recognizing your patterns, your beliefs, and then starting to repattern, rework them, rewire them.
Beautiful advice. So you heard it. Self-compassion, finding your part in the pattern and rewiring, right?
Yeah.
Figuring out what the new beliefs are and deeming them worthy of the work because it is work to believe something better. So we
Right.
don't just, and we know this because if we could, we would, and coaches wouldn't have jobs if we could just believe something different.
Right.
It takes some work. Well, D'Layne, thank you so much for being here. You are a light, you are a gift, and I'm so rooting for you out there. And just please share anything you want with this community. How can they reach out to you? How can they work with you? All the things.
Yeah. So the easiest way to get to find me is either on Instagram or Facebook. And I'm D'Layne Benson. It's Dlayne Benson. And I have a newsletter, and then I also am working on starting a podcast, and it is for overfunctioning women, just to help them get a better understanding of what they're going through, and then also have some real life stories that we share as well. And then I do offer the breathwork classes. They kind of range from more nervous system regulation all the way to um, more ceremonies, more rituals, things like that, more the more woo-woo side of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, you can find those classes. Some are virtual and some are in person that I do. And sometimes I do them in my hometown, but I've also been doing some contract work for retreats as well. And so there's a lot of that. And then I am starting another round of my overwhelm group it'll probably be in like mid-January. I'll be starting another round of my helping women break the overwhelm cycle and break these
Mm-hmm.
patterns that we get caught in.
Well, thank you. I will link everything in the comments and you can reach out to D'Layne. Again, I just want to say thank you so much, D'Layne. This was an amazing conversation. And for anyone that can use a little confidence and clarity right now around the holidays, I have a special for 1 week only. The link is in the comments. Grab a 60-minute transformative coaching session with me at 60% off. This is usually something I only give to first time clients, but it is the holidays and in the spirit of giving for 1 week only, I'm giving it to anyone. So, yes, you watching it can grab a coaching session with me just to get confident and clear. All right. Thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out with us.